Hi, this is Sam Hunter from Hunter's Design Studio, and this is a quick technique cutting video for the ombre star and ombre diamond patterns. So we're going to start out on page 4 where we're cutting out blocks for ombre style B. Ombre style B is the most common fabric you'll find in ombres. Ombre style B means the fabric goes from light to dark across half the width of the fabric, and then back again. Most of these fabrics are dark at the selvages and light in the middle. Some of them are the other way, and in this pattern, it doesn't really matter which. At the top of page 4, the recommendation is to cut out just one strip to start with. And I always like to cut one so I get the hang of it before I go off and cut everything else. The first thing I need to let you know is I'm right-handed, so I'm going to cut diagonals in one direction. If you're a lefty, you're probably going to cut them in the other. But whatever you do, you have to cut the diagonals the same way for this pattern, or the colors don't flow correctly. So I have a 10-inch strip already cut. The next thing I need to do is cut the strip in half. Rather than open it out and cut it in half, I'm just going to cut a very, very skinny strip off of the fold. And that gets me halfway there all in one. And I'm going to get myself into the orientation as illustrated in the pattern, which has the light to the left and the dark to the right. Now, at this point, you need to decide whether you want to feature your lightest light or your darkest dark. We need two 10-inch squares, and if you can see on my mat here, I have 21 usable inches of fabric. So I'm going to lose an inch off of either end at some point. I just have to choose which. Now, I know you might think I'll just cut one all the way this way and one all the way that way and take a piece out of the middle, but don't do that. The reason for that is you're already losing a little bit of seam allowance, and these fabrics are going to come together at some point, and we want them to look like they belong close together. If I cut an inch, which is an inch and a half by the time I have my seam allowance, you'll see that the step between those fabrics is a little bit larger, and it sort of upsets the flow of what you see on the pattern. I'm going to go light dominant because I think this yellow is going to sparkle really well. I need a 10-inch square cut. I'm stacking 2 rulers, 4 on one and 6 on the other, to get my 10. And then I'll do it again. And now the strip is cut into 2 squares. The next step says, pair the 2 squares, right sides together, aligning the lightest edges. So this is the lightest edge of this block, and this is the lightest edge of this block. So those two need to be aligned, right sides together. And then we cut this on the diagonal. Because I'm a righty, I'm going to cut this way. But whatever you do, make sure you always cut the same way, all the way through the pattern. Just cut this guy in half, and then we go off and sew them and press them and bring them back and see what the block looks like. I'm not going to do the sew and press part for you. You know what that looks like. I'm just going to do this, and we're just going to pretend that they are sewn. So now we have to identify the blocks. What is block A and what is block B? If you go to the top of page 5, you'll see that A has the lightest area in the corner and the darkest areas around the edge. So this is block A. Now, I know you can look at this one and say, but this is light. This is the lightest part of the fabric. But if you look in the corner, here, this is the dark area. If I flip it around for you, now this looks like B. The darkest lump is clustered up here, like the lightest lump is clustered up here on A, and then all the way around the edge is the light. All the way around the edge is the dark. So this is block B. And I know this often gets a little confusing when you've got them all cut out and sewn and dog-eared and pressed. It's like, holy cow, which is which? But look for the concentration of dark and the concentration of light, then look at the longest consistent color or consistent shading. So you've got a long light here and here, and a long piece of dark here and here. And that will help you find these blocks. The other thing that I want to let you know, that even though the drawing has you lay out A's and B's in really specific places, once you get the center star done or the center diamond done, of either ombre star or ombre diamond, where the rest land actually isn't so critical. Getting all of the A's into the center of the quilt makes the star come out. I don't know if you can see this. There's dark in the point here and here. There might be a little bit of shine on the paper, but all of these in the middle are block A's. As long as they're all the same block, in that star, the rest of the quilt is going to come out great. Just use all A's or all B's here. I usually put all the A's in because they're a little bit lighter, which means the center of the quilt glows and then it falls off at the edges, which I like better. But as always, it's your quilt and you get to make it your way. Anyway, I hope this has been helpful. If you have any questions, leave them below or get in touch on the contact page at huntersdesignstudio.com.